Namaskar everyone, I'm Pia Jyoti Khatru coming to you from ITV Gold Studio in New Jersey and welcoming you all to our weekly show, The American Dream, Real Estate 101, where we talk everything real estate and we'll be getting answers from the experts. In today's show, we will be discussing real estate appraisals with an award-winning salesperson, Alka Aneja of On Track Realty, who has been doing real estate for more than 27 years. She is also the president of Humbled by Your Service, a charity formed during COVID. Last but not the least, she also hosts Soul Talks with Alka on YouTube. She's here to give you insights into the world of real estate. And also I have with me Ruma Mazumdar, who is the founder and principal attorney of Key Esquire Law Office of Ruma Mazumdar. Ruma is no stranger to real estate and has grown up within the industry from a young age. She has a bachelor's degree from New York University and law degree from Cardozo Law School. Upon graduating law school in 2017, she began practicing in real estate matters in New York and New Jersey. She recently decided to start her own law practice where she focuses on both residential and commercial transactions. Ruma also specializes in residential real estate and is here to give you insights into the legal side of home buying. So let me welcome Alka and Ruma to the American Dream Real Estate 101. How are you ladies doing today?
Thank you, Pia. We're excited to talk about this very important subject on appraisal.
Absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, we will be talking about appraisals. So tell our viewers, what is appraisal in this real estate, transaction?
So appraisal is the bank's valuation of the home. When you write a home, when you write an offer on a house, your offer consists of multiple parts. One is, what are you offering? What is your mortgage? And what is your down payment? The appraisal is what will happen when the bank values you. So let's say you're getting, the house is $500,000. You're putting down 20%. So that's $100,000 down. Now you have $400,000 that you're getting a mortgage of. The bank wants to make sure that their property is going to be secure and when you're going to be able to get a mortgage and pay it back. Remember, there was a whole big thing of last time when the market went down, the banks went down with it, right? So now they're making sure that the appraisal processes are taken care of and the property values are taken care of. So that in gist is what an appraisal is. So when an appraiser appraises the property, the appraiser knows what the value is. They have a contract, they can see what the contract is. And they have to make sure they have enough comparable data to make the value come forward. So it's important, we'll discuss this during the show, as to how we make that come for you, especially in today's market, because everybody is paying ridiculous amounts. Yesterday, we had this happen, Pia. There was a condo for $290,000. Guess what the offer was?
$325.
Higher.
What?
400?
Higher.
500?
Lower. Okay, so that may be a little crazy.
475.
425.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's $125,000 over the asking price. Now, how do you get the bank to justify that, right? So we're going to talk about how these happen. You're paying these prices. How are you getting the mortgages?
Absolutely. So, I know there are a lot of viewers out there. They still want to know, why is it important in today's market?
You have to do it. It's not, so when you'd write up a contract, you can say, I will waive appraisal. That does not mean you're waiving the actual appraisal itself. The bank has to do an appraisal. That's a bank value, like I said. They have to do it for you. What you're waiving is the appraisal difference, which is that, let's say I offered $420 on a $290 condo, then I am waiving that $130,000 difference that may arise, right? That may arise. It is not saying that you're waiving appraisal. You're waiving the appraisal difference that may come. So these are key terms. It's important. And once the contract is done and you go under contract, it goes to Ruma. Now Ruma is going to explain the same thing to you as to what happens.
Okay, so once you decide that you want to waive the appraisal, then I have to make sure that we put in the right language. Things you can do with the appraisal. You can limit it and say that, you're only gonna offer up to maybe $10,000 if the property underappraises. And then you want to keep the right to get out of the contract because obviously you don't have the funds to cover whatever the other major difference might be between what you offered and what the actual value ended up being. If you actually waive the appraisal altogether, then even if the property underappraises, you don't have the opportunity to go back and renegotiate. You just have to make sure that you're going to be able to cover the shortfall.
If you have waived your appraisal in today's market, you cannot go to your attorney and say, oh, by the way, I don't have enough funds for this. Think about what you're doing when you're making your offer. You can't, if RUMA does that, then RUMA, that contract is getting killed. As a listing agent, what you have given us as a term, if your attorney changes it, within 24 hours in this market, your contract is dying. So don't come into your attorney crying later on that I waived it, now I don't have funds. Understand this, and that's why we're going through this with you, is understand what your consequences are going to be. So if you don't want to be in this market, you can't handle it, step out. There's no reason to be in this game, there's no reason, but if you're going to get into this game, make sure you have enough funds. Every agent now, if you're waiving appraisals that much, they're saying, where are your proof of funds? We need to see your proof of funds. Are you just telling us that? If you give them proof of funds and you still go back to RUMA and say, RUMA, I only want to do it up to listing price, just please note 98% of the time your contract is being terminated. The only time it will not is if the other offer is still significantly lower than what your bottom part is, right? So let's say in a $500,000 offer, you offered $600,000. Now all of a sudden you say to RUMA, I only want $550 as my cap because I only have $50,000. Then if the other offer that they had was only $550, which I very much doubt it, but it can happen, then they will probably accept your number. Or if you're a neighbor or some other factors. That's why I said 98%. So like everything we say here, you're dealing with people, you're dealing with personalities. Nothing is 100%. Everything is a gray area, but these are your tracks. You need to follow your tracks. If you do this strategy, your contract 98% is getting terminated. So be aware of it.
So Alka and Ruma, I just want you guys to explain, like in simple terms, for a person like me, what does it mean for a buyer and a seller?
So for a seller, when the buyer waives appraisal, you know there's three contingencies to the contract. One is an attorney review period, one is inspections, and one is appraisal. So, but you are not sure your loan is going to close until the day of closing. And I will tell you why, even though it's not a contingency, there is a reason why. Attorney review, either party has the right to cancel. RUMA changes the terms, as a seller, terminate the contract, right? The buyer says, oh my God, a next door home came up, I no longer think I want to buy this. Or the biggest factor in today's market is buyer's remorse. They pay $100,000 over asking, go home and say, oh crap, I paid $100,000 over asking. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done.
Right.
And they walk out. That's the first time your attorney review, you can cancel the contract. Second is inspection. Most people are limiting inspections, and we will talk about inspections in our next episode, but most people are limiting inspections. Let's say something big comes out, you can terminate it. Third is your
terminated only if the seller decides that they're not going to address it.
Yeah. That's important. Again, your attorney here to tell you that. Your third is your appraisal. Now we'll talk about appraisal and mortgage. So if you know that the appraisal part is being handled, now it's just that the buyer has to qualify. So that from the seller's side, it's more peace of mind. From your buyer's side, what it means is you need to have more funds. You need to have funds available. What if, right? So if you are working with your buyer's agent, please make sure your buyer agent goes to the appraisal. If you're working, for me, my sellers, I go to every single appraisal of mine. I do not let the buyer's agents go. I go because it's important for me that the seller's value is taken care of. That the appraiser understands what are the upgrades, why is this offer coming, why did we get multiple offers. So if you can talk to them, they also understand that there's a variability going on, right?
So Alka and Ruba, what if my house doesn't appraise? So what am I going to do? What are my options?
What do you mean by the house doesn't appraise? The house will always appraise for a certain value. Do you mean if it doesn't appraise for the list price that you put it on the market for?
That's what I'm thinking, probably if it's like lesser than whatever I appraise for. So what are the options?
So if you waived your appraisal, your option is you have to pay the difference.
Okay.
You can also appeal your appraisal. Second is you can go to a different bank. So unless it's an FHA appraisal, I believe it is not in their systems. And again, an appraisal is an opinion of value. So you can go to another bank and get another appraisal to do another value. We have seen where two different appraisers have come in with two different values of a home. So that does not mean that the home didn't appraise. It has happened to us personally.
And will an appraisal always happen when a bank is involved, right? Like if you're going to be going to get a mortgage, the bank is most likely going to require you to get an appraisal. I think it's definitely for FHA loans and VA loans.
Yeah, for even conventional. But however, if you're putting down like 50%, and you're buying a townhome, right? And you're buying within market, they will say it's fine. We'll do a desktop appraisal.
Right. If you're not doing that normal 80-20 split, you're going to put in around like at least 30 to 35%. Sometimes the banks will be like, I don't need the appraisal.
Yeah. So and it's not for a single family home that they'll do that, because single family homes are so different. But a townhome it's a commodity, right? You can only do so much in a townhome because everything is a community. You know what you're getting. They may do a desktop if you're within a certain range. For a single family home, it can go so much. You can have done so much to your house.
So, I have heard this term always, seller's concessions. So how does that affect all this?
They do not really have any effect on the appraisal. Appraisal is strictly a bank side.
Okay.
Seller's concessions are, then in today's market, we don't see them that much. It's
actually, I did just see it because the appraisal actually, the home over appraised what the offer price, accepted price was. So then we changed the purchase price to match the appraisal value, and then the seller gave back that difference in a concession to the seller.
Wow.
Because they created equity right away in their home.
That is very unique.
Doesn't happen often.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often. And honestly, I'm telling you, if the seller found out that their home is over appraising, they get a little antsy about it, thinking, oh, did we give it away?
So we're already in contract though, so we can't really do much at that point.
So the buyer is in a good shape in that, but generally concessions are for inspections, and concessions are when buyer says, listen, I need help with closing. In this case, saying, listen, I want to cash out on my equity today and do it this way. That was a very smart buyer. I have to say, very smart attorney to do it, because it's not a normal transaction like that.
I just was thinking, is like home inspection and appraisal inspection the same?
No. Home inspection is for the workings of the house.
Okay.
Is the roof leaking? Is the plumbing leaking? Is the electric okay? That's different. We'll have a whole episode on that. This is basically a bank valuation of what does the bank think your home is worth.
But they do come, walk around, inspect the surroundings, right? They're not inspecting the insides of it unless...
No, they absolutely have to inspect. So they have to, the funny part is I learned this yesterday, they have to come inside because they want to make sure you're not growing weed in the house.
Wow. Nice.
They have to make sure they take pictures of every room to make sure that there's no marijuana. So every bank has to now have this. I was like, what? But that was the first time I ever heard the actual reason of why the banks have to go back. So very interesting. You live and learn, and we learn every single day.
Hey, I have been learning a lot from you two girls, since we have been together doing this show. So, if, for example, if my neighbor's home is like, I see the value has gone up, does that mean that my home will be appreciating too?
Oh, 100%, yes. If you're a townhome, right, then you rise and fall with your development, because you're, again, a very consistent commodity. When it's a single family home, not so much. It does go up, but you could have done nothing to your house. They would have done everything. So your value will still go up. You're always better to be the cheapest home in the best neighborhood than to be a best home in the cheapest neighborhood. Your value will never go up. But if you do, that's why they say you should never over improve. Sadly, I am one of the people who will go against that, and I always say you live properly, but as an appraisal thing, it never works for you if you over improve. So we will talk about that as to why you should over improve or should not. That could be one of our episodes as to why we should do that, and we'll talk about it. You'll find out what a poor example I am of that.
So just tell me, what is the best strategy for a buyer to buy the house?
So our famous words on this show are, it depends. It depends on what the buyer wants. If the buyer loves the home, it is your north-facing home that you want on this particular street, and you think you're never going to get it, please pay. Please figure out the money and get it, because it's hard to get it. Now, make sure you have enough so that you are not following later on and spending all this money and deciding that you don't want to do it. Don't have buyer's remorse. But if you do not, and you don't think you want to be in this market, and you don't want to waive appraisals, which is fine, don't do it. Watch what's good for you. हमेशा वही करो जो आपके लिए comfortable है. अगर आपके लिए comfortable नहीं है, तो please don't do it. It is important. You're going to live in that home. But just remember, the market sadly there's a pent-up demand. So there is 50 people for one home. Sadly, only one person can live in that home. Now there's 49 people in that one home, and there's 20 other people that are coming for the next home. So now there's 70 people for the next home. So again, unless we get a lot more homes on the market, it's going to be harder, but you decide what you like. Aapko pasand aana is much more important. After that, it's all semantics. So make sure you talk to your real estate agent, you talk to your attorney, but remember, the attorney has not seen the home. The attorney does not know how long you've been. They're going to give you legal advice. So you walk in, you say, I'm kind of scared. I don't really want to do appraisal. Right. They're going to say, don't do it, right? They don't know you've been on the market for 3 years. This is your 17th home. You've lost it. And if you only want a north-facing home, you only need this school district. They don't know all of that, right? But they're going to give you the advice you give them. They only have certain information. So make sure you think about that information before you get to your attorney and then say, oh, my attorney made me kill the transaction. Your attorney did not make you kill the transaction. You killed the transaction, right? So make sure you take the blame where you want to take it.
And I think the key thing is preparation, right? So work with agents because it's important. They know the market, they know the surroundings, they know what 3 houses down sold for, they know what sold in the next neighborhood. And that's how you're able to figure out what kind of offer to put in, how over do you want to go, does it make sense for you financially to do that, will you have the extra funds to cover it? And also, you can also avoid an appraisal if you're doing a cash offer.
Oh, that's perfect.
So there's your other strategy.
Yeah, so may God bless everyone with the lotto today. And everybody go buy a lottery ticket. Buy it. If you win, please come to me on Track Realty. I'll go ahead and buy a cash home. And then we don't have to talk about appraisals anymore. However, in a normal market, appraisals are still key. But cash is the one way to avoid it. We didn't talk about that. But if you have cash, it's no longer a trend.
I think the bottom line is just to have the good, real estate agent and have a good attorney.
Yes,
that is the bottom line for everything, whether, you're trying to buy, you're trying to sell, whatever you're trying to do.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And if you don't want to waive the appraisal, that's fine. You don't have to waive an appraisal, right? And I'll make sure that we put into the contract that you'll be able to negotiate if for some reason the appraisal under appraises.
You just won't get a home in today's market. I'll be honest. If there is not an appraisal waiver,
I've been doing contracts where we've negotiated. It depends on the area.
Depends on, again, like you said, it depends.
Yeah.
However, in most competitive markets, if you're not waiving appraisals, you are not getting the home. So you don't have to do it. That's true.
Especially when a home is getting like 14 offers,
yes,
and everyone's waiving everything.
Yes. But when the home has been on the market for 4 months, for 3 months, even in today's market, then you
might have some room to negotiate.
You have the room to negotiate at that time. So everything is an it depends story. So I think we should change the show's name from the American Dream to It Depends.
Real estate.
Real estate 101, it depends.
Love it.
So I would say, lastly, any tips for even appraisals you have for our viewers?
If you're a seller, write down a list of every upgrade you've done into your home. It's important. It adds up. Obviously, things you've done 20 years ago do not add up. You've done a new roof, it's not going to give you a whole lot of value, but new kitchens, new bathrooms, new walkways, landscaping, all these things add up. Make sure you're doing all of that, and then give us a list. Give your realtor a list of what the upgrades are so that the realtors can give it to the appraisers. Those are important. As a buyer, what you can do, just have your funds ready. As a buyer, you have nothing else but making sure your funds are ready. So before you enter into the market, make sure you have enough cushion. Because
know your budget.
Know your budget. Know your budget, know your extra. So if you are looking for a $600,000 home, and you're going to end up needing 650, look at the 550 home, and then you'll be at 600.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, so just don't put yourself in harm's way. What we do not want 5 years from now is a call from you saying, I think I can't pay my mortgage and help me out. We do not want that. We want you to be comfortable. We want you to do the right thing.
Thank you so much, ladies. It was really nice talking to both of you and, learning a lot about appraisals. And yes, we'll be back again next week with a different topic. Once again, thank you, Alka, and thank you, Ruma. And if you have any last-minute words for our viewers.
The more information you know, the more information you can get, the more you can qualify your agents first, your attorneys first to go look out at the transaction. Please do it. An informed consumer is our best customer. So make sure you do it, please.
Definitely.
It really will help you today.
And ask the questions to your agent, right?
Yes.
Like ask them, where are the properties selling? How much are they selling for? What should I be prepared for?
Yeah. And you'll know who's giving you the advice, and you'll know who's selling you a home. There's a huge difference. So watch where you're going.
We'll be back next week, same time, with a different topic related to real estate. I also want to remind all the viewers to follow us on our Facebook handle at ITV Gold. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for news on community, entertainment and events in US and India. I am Pia Jyoti Khatru, wishing you all well until next time.